Hi, and konnichiwa! My name is Mackenzie Johnson Tucker, and today's video is based off the Wakaba Project 2025 presentation. Our topic today is on multilingualism in Japan, my group's discussion based on that topic, findings and final thoughts on multilingualism. So, without further ado, let's get started. First, let's just talk about some of the different topics we talked about in our discussion. So this included on the UNG side, sociolinguistic topics, so dialects and variation in Japanese, different pragmatics, gendered speech, and multilingualism in Japan. And then some of the topics my Nanzan group talked about was education in America, traditions in America, multilingualism in America, as well as Americans' perception on Japanese culture and how much does America know about Japan. So moving right along, the main topic of today's video is going to be multilingualism in Japanese. Why learn English? Why learn Chinese? Why not learn other languages such as Spanish, French, German, Portuguese, or even some of the indigenous languages that are found in Japan? Some of the questions that I asked during this discussion was, besides Japanese or English, are there any other languages that you may hear often, either from tourists or foreigners, or is it from fellow Japanese citizens? Another question was, what do you think other languages Japanese people know the most? Is it for just school, work, or both? And is it encouraged to be multilingual? As well as talking about the different challenges that multilingual individuals face in Japan or Japanese individuals face being multilingual, and if there's any mutual problems or concerns or struggles that both foreigners and Japanese citizens face and can kind of face together. As well as, have they ever heard any of the indigenous languages in Hokkaido or in Okinawa, and if they've heard the Ainu or Ryukyuan languages at all. But let's get started. After having an open discussion with my group members about multilingualism both in Japan and America, some of the things I learned, again, was reiterated in our class discussion and videos, that English is introduced early in the curriculum, as well as being a requirement sometimes in college entrance exams, but also it is a requirement and its relevance in the service industry, which again makes sense because of English being an international business language and the high proportion of tourists that do speak English going to Japan. But I also learned that Chinese is extremely important. Some of this is similar both with education but also for international relations in business. But I also learned that it could be neither. It could just be an enjoyment of the language in American culture and wanting to enjoy American media without the struggle of not being able to speak the language. Some of my group members' experiences with multilingualism was interesting though as well. One of my group members' hometown, there's a high proportion of immigrants from Brazil, so there was a lot of Portuguese spoken. As well as one of my other group members went to Okinawa, and so she was able to hear the variety and Ryukyu or Okinawan Japanese and saw the differences, but some similarities, I guess, on that language, which this was really interesting. It was interesting because of getting her perspective as someone who speaks the more standard Japanese with both Nagoyan and Fukui dialect, but also that she was able to go to Okinawa and get the perspective from the population there and through going to the restaurants and general visitation. We also compared and contrast the differences of language learning in America versus in Japan. While in America, we are given a choice to either be multilingual, bilingual, or monolingual. It isn't a requirement in our society since the majority language is English, even though we are a melting pot of a country where we have multiple languages that are prominent here, such as Spanish, German, French, Portuguese, etc., as well as Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and just so many. We have so many cultures here that make America wonderful. But, we were comparing and contrasting that in school. I was given a choice to learn a variety of different languages. I could choose between Spanish or French or German or Latin, but they aren't given that choice, and that there is an expectation to learn English in some cases for career opportunities such as the service industry. So, what were my final thoughts and ideas based off our discussion? In the back of my mind, I thought, wow, we have a lot more in common than we give credit for. I could understand and relate to their struggles trying to acquire their target language, such as not being able to remember words, trying to remember grammar points, and etc. But also, we have similar reasons to wanting to learn our target language. For me, I want to learn Japanese because I hope to work for a Japanese company. For them, some of it is a requirement in the service industry, but also some of it is to hopefully have better career opportunities because of that multilingual status. But some of the motivation was due to cultural interest. Some of my group members really enjoyed American culture and pop culture, especially like music and movies and books, as well as for me, I really enjoy Japanese culture and I want to better understand the language so I can more authentically enjoy it because there's so many lost in translations that happen between Japan and American media, as well as just the differences in the language. So we could relate. I could relate to their struggles. I hope they could relate to mine, but it felt like we had a common ground, even though there is technically a language barrier or a cultural barrier. But I'm really glad I was able to discuss this with them and feel that we had some solidarity together. Thank you so much for watching today, and a special thank you to our instructors, both at UNG and Nanzan, for setting up this project. Thank you so much to my group members, Group 4, for participating and discussing with me each week. It was wonderful, and I look forward to future collaborations with Nanzan and future Koyo projects. Thank you again, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.